We are so lucky. We can go to the grocery store abundantly stacked with food products beyond my wildest imagination.
Let's see what a bushel looks like.
This is a world with a growing population.
There's 22 acres in this field. I'd like to get it done today. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Agriculture is big business and big science in Indiana. On this episode, we follow some of Indiana's top crops, from the plants in the field to the finished products. Follow me. It's time for another expedition. Each season, farmers and scientists work to grow more and more food for the masses. The science behind this work is called agriculture.
Indiana Expeditions with Rick Crossland is made possible with the generous support of Telamon Corporation. As the developer of the 162-acre solar farm at the Indianapolis International Airport, Telamon strives to simplify the joy of science for children worldwide.
If you bite into it and it cracks, they're pretty much ready.
What if you bite into them and they're soggy?
They're not ready.
Not a bad taste. Kind of tastes like a crayon.
There's a reason it tastes like a crayon. Soy is used to make crayons. Maybe the real question should be, why do we all know what crayons taste like? Just remember, a curious mind goes great with a career in ag science.
I like to farm. When you like to farm, you enjoy planting seeds, watching a crop grow. It's that full cycle that lasts a year, from planting to growth to harvest to resting in the wintertime and doing it all over again next year.
Ag tech is in a constant state of advancement.
It tells me the average of the field so far, the total bushels I've collected on this load, and how many acres we've actually harvested. You only shoot up there when the numbers are high. We don't want to admit that anything's lousy once in a while.
Soybean farmers are not only increasing yield, but working to develop crops that are healthier. The goal is to eliminate things that we know aren't good for us, like trans fats. New soybeans have been developed that produce a more stable oil, eliminating trans fats that were created when soybean oil is processed to make it more stable. Today's farm equipment can even drive on autopilot.
That's controlling the steering wheel, and the actual little motor that's actually turning my steering wheel is right here.
Farmers have a lot at stake each season.
And as climate changes, how is that going to affect the output of our crops? We're going to see a lot of volatility over the next period of time. Some years we're going to have an abundant supply. We're going to have a record production, prices will be cheap, and it'll be easy. Other years may be affected by dry weather or even too wet a weather. Are we going to produce enough for feed, food, and fuel? I suspect that availability of crude oil in the decades to come is probably going to become less. How are we going to produce enough energy? Can we produce enough energy? It may transition more to wind and solar. I would think that we're going to have to end up using all the tools in the toolbox.
Every year is a little different than the last, and farmers always try to stay ahead of changing conditions.
We are so lucky in the United States. We are so lucky. We can go to the grocery store and we have shelves abundantly stacked with food products beyond my wildest imagination. And so we start to take all that for granted. But in reality, this is a world with a growing population. There's a sizable portion of people living on $1 or $2 a day. And so the idea that we have to produce more food at an economic level that all people can afford it. We have to do it sustainably. The world's not getting any bigger. There's more people. We're expected that by 2050 we will have an additional 2.3 billion people. 2.3 billion people. Without the advances of biotechnology that we've seen in the last 20 years and that we're going to see in the next 20 years, I can't imagine how we're ever going to produce enough food.
In life, you might occasionally need a doctor, a lawyer, or a police officer. But every day, you want to eat. you need a farmer.
You know, the sky's the limit, I think, on imagination. Dream big. If you really like science and engineering, wow, you've got all this equipment you can start to design if you're an engineer. And maybe someday we'll be growing food in outer space. I think that science could be pretty exciting for a kid that's thinking about what they want to do in the world. So I think agriculture is a fast-growing industry right now, and it's not farm kids that's filling that niche. It's kids that are interested in basic sciences and little imagination, and they're going, wow, I can do that, and I can work in agriculture at the same time.